For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested.
World leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace.
Vice President Kamala Harris excoriated Donald Trump in their first presidential debate last night over his refusal to accept his 2020 election loss and attempt to overturn it. Trump cited his ally, Hungary's far-right leader Viktor Orban, who faces fines by the European Union for rollbacks on EU freedoms. During the 2-hour debate, Trump took typical aim at immigrants, repeating xenophobic falsehoods and conspiracy theories, like one circulating about Springfield, Ohio.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
He also blamed immigrants for crime, and Harris responded.
Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof.
Well, I think this is so rich. Coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing.
Harris boasted of her Republican support. Some 200 Republican leaders, including former Vice President Dick Cheney, who helped lead the U.S. to wage a war in Iraq based on lies. When asked about her shifting position on issues like fracking, Harris doubled down her support of it and said her values haven't changed. Her campaigns invited Trump to a second debate next month. He's considering it. House Speaker Mike Johnson's doubling down his pledge to tie government funding to the SAVE Act, a bill to require proof of citizenship when registering to vote. It's backed by Donald Trump.
If you have a few thousand illegals participating in an election in the wrong place, you can change the makeup of Congress and you can affect the presidential election. The American people understand this. It doesn't matter what party people are in. They demand, they want us, and they deserve us to take this action and make sure that illegals cannot taint the election. Only U.S. citizens should vote in U.S. elections.
A survey earlier this year from Maryland University says 1 in 10 voters say they cannot easily access proof of citizenship. It's dead on arrival in the Democratic-controlled Senate. Here's Senate Leader Chuck Schumer.
Only bipartisanship will help us meet that deadline. But instead of pursuing bipartisanship, Speaker Johnson is yet again, wasting time caving to the hard right despite his razor-thin majority. Hasn't he learned? Instead, Republicans should work with Democrats on a bipartisan package, one that has input from both sides, one that avoids harmful cuts.
Those harmful cuts Democrats say include cuts to veterans' care. Lawmakers have until the end of the month to strike a deal before a partial government shutdown. President Joe Biden today says he's outraged and deeply saddened by the killing of an American activist in the West Bank by an Israeli sniper, calling it totally unacceptable and demanding full accountability. His comments fall short of the condemnation groups like CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, have been urging, but it marks a shift in the president's comments from Tuesday when he reiterated Israel's statements the fatal shooting was an accident and unintentional. 26-year-old activist from Seattle, Esenyer Eziagi, was reportedly shot in the head by an Israeli sniper on a rooftop at a protest in the occupied West Bank against Israeli settlements, which are illegal under international law. Israel says it's investigating the killing. Israeli strikes on Palestinian territories have killed more than 24 Palestinians. Local officials say an Israeli strike killed 5 Palestinians in the occupied West Bank early today, and Israeli airstrikes in the Gaza Strip have killed at least 20 people, including 16 women and children. The death toll has now topped 41,000 in Gaza. This comes a day after dozens were killed from an Israeli airstrike on a safe zone in the Al-Mawasi camp. It was condemned by the United Nations. Pacifica's Romy Amagari reports.
In the Mawasi area southwest of Khan Yunis and southern Gaza Strip, displaced residents woke up to a large-scale Israeli airstrike. The people wonder as to why their area was bombarded, given the fact that Israel designated it as a humanitarian zone. Namir al-Zahar is a displaced resident from the nearby Rafah city. Namir witnessed the airstrike.
نعم تم انتشال الطيبين وانتشال.
Yes, those alive and martyred were evacuated to an area just a few meters away from the bombing. They're all displaced residents who the Israeli Defense Forces demanded come to this safe zone. The IDF killed these displaced residents in a hideous way.
تم قصفهم وقتلهم بصورة بشعة.
According to the Gaza-based Palestinian Health Ministry, 40 people were killed and 60 others were injured. An Israeli army statement suggests that the army spotted a Hamas leadership meeting. For Pacifica Radio, KPFA, I am Rami El-Mighari in Gaza.
Missouri's High Court ruled in favor of a measure to undo the state's near-total abortion ban, allowing it to appear on the November ballot. If passed, the proposal would enshrine abortion rights in the Missouri state constitution. Florida state police are showing up at the homes of voters who signed a petition to get an abortion rights amendment on the ballot in November as part of a state probe into alleged petition fraud. Catherine Carley has more.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is defending his move to send special election police to question residents who signed an abortion rights amendment petition. He says they're investigating fraud and not intimidating his political opponents. But Democratic State Representative Anna Escamni calls it corrosive for democracy.
It's just shameful behavior. It's an abuse of power. It's corruption. And I really do hope Floridians see through it.
I'm Catherine Carley for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Alan W. Friedlander.
My brother, Richard Avery Aronet.
Family of those killed in the 9/11 terrorist attacks are reading the names of the slain at a ceremony in New York today. The nation's commemorating the lives taken September 11th, 2001, when hijacked plane attacks killed nearly 3,000 people in New York, the Pentagon, and Pennsylvania. I'm Christina Onnested reporting for Pacifica Radio.